Hello everyone, we are live. So one of my goals is always to sit here and try to make it go live like right at 1 p.m., like right on the dot. I missed it. Technically I'm early, although there's always enough of a delay that it may be on time for you guys. So welcome. Today we are working in Winsor Newton Pigment Marker. I got smudges on my paper already. How did I manage that? I don't know where that came from. I'm working in Winsor Newton Pigment Marker, and just for transparency, some of these markers were provided to me by Winsor Newton several years ago to try out. I'm not paid to say anything about them. I liked them so much, I went and spent a lot of money buying more, like a ridiculous amount, because then I thought I wanted all the colors. It was the whole thing. Oh, go away, Color Monkey. I don't need that. Go away. I don't need your update. Don't need your update either. So yeah, I really like these markers. I'm looking at the wrong camera. That camera's not even on. You guys are here today. I can't keep track. Hi, Art of Kayan. It's too small. I can't read that. Let's see. So with this one, I'm going to start with the background on this. No one's surprised. I'm going to go with more aqua colors. Now, the jellyfish that you see on the screen, I'm not copying him exactly. He's just kind of a general guideline. I have like 4 jellyfish reference photos that I really liked. I wanted to get more whites in his little legs, so we'll see how that all comes out. I am going to loosely draw him out. Let's just take a really light aqua. So this color that I am using, you don't have to use the same colors. You don't even have to use the same medium. This one is Phthalo Turquoise Light. I'm going to use the light end on this. Now I'm working on Yupo paper. This paper is a big deal when it comes to the wrong camera, when it comes to the Winsor Newton pigment markers, because if you try to use like regular marker paper, it's not going to blend like you're going to see me do here. If you were to use the Winsor and Newton, and I think someone said they made a different paper. I need to look into that. I haven't used these in a while, but the paper that they used to at least make, it was like tissue thin. It was nearly useless to me. Okay for like practicing stuff, but the cool thing with Winsor Newton pigment markers, they're light fast. They're the only light fast marker I know of where they're all like, that's a big deal. Like Copic's not light fast, so I'm not going to sell any work done with any other marker. But if I'm going to sell it, I want paper that's going to like last. I don't want tissue thin paper, and that's kind of a big deal when it comes to these markers. So Yupo paper is the only one that I like, the only one that I use. Let's see. What's your tips for turning art into a business? I created my business a year ago and still have no sales, and not many people have seen it because you're not marketing it. If people aren't seeing it, you're not marketing it. Making your art a business has more to do with your marketing skills than it does your art skills. And I know that seems crazy, but honestly, it really does. How are you marketing? How are you telling the story about your art? How are you getting your name out there? If you're just putting it on your website, you're not going to get many sales, if any. You've got to get your work out there in front of people. eBay may be a way to go, social media, but you have to in order to make it as an artist, you have to market yourself. There are so many artists out there who are phenomenal who won't make it because they don't market. They don't do the marketing well or right. So that's really all it boils down to. Sergio said, always great to see you at work. Joke question, how much should I insist for a graphite tutorial? Serious question. Would you frame pigment marker work? Does it need fixing? I've never tried to use a fixative on this because if it gets wet at all, it lifts. So I should do some tests on different fixatives. I will frame it behind glass. As far as the graphite tutorial, I'm actually working on one right now for Patreon. I just had an older one on Patreon go up of a meerkat. I found some older content that needed voiceovers. I found 4. So that one ended up then, but I'm working on right now a giraffe in graphite. So I do have those coming. I need to do some for YouTube too. So let's see. Hi Lisa, it's been a long time since I've been able to catch you live. So glad to be here. Can't wait for this one. Yay! Welcome. I'm glad you're here. So Patreon, I'm working right now. I'm going to be doing, let's explain how I'm going to mark this out. I'm going to make little marks about where I want him to go, and then I'll just kind of draw it out from there. But with Patreon, you guys know, and this is just a general business tip, I always say do not put all of your eggs in one basket. So you're not going to be depending just on YouTube or just on Facebook. You want your stuff kind of spread out, because if one goes down, people need to know where to find you. And I've said over and over again, I have not been taking my own advice on that, in that all my eggs are pretty much in the Patreon basket. Well, Patreon keeps getting themselves into legal issues. And I'm not saying that this next one is going to be the thing that takes them out. Maybe it will be, I don't know. But they keep doing stupid crap. I don't know if they're just not hiring lawyers to warn them, hey, that's going to screw yourselves over in the end. But it was kind of a wake-up call. Like, I'm always telling you guys, don't put all your business eggs in one basket when it comes to art. You're going to be selling prints, selling original, whether it's teaching, whether it's doing YouTube. You want yourself spread all over. So if one element of your business goes down, you're not completely like, oh my gosh, I can't pay my bills. But that's exactly what wrong camera. Oh my God. That's exactly what I have done. I'm going to move this one because I keep looking at it, but it's not plugged in. Go on the floor. That should help me. I should no longer look over there. But yeah, so with this new thing, Patreon's recent legal battles, I decided to go ahead and I'm duplicating everything from Patreon over on Subscribestar. So if Patreon were to go out, everything's already ready to go on Subscribestar. So that's why I'm redoing voiceovers on a couple, like 4 of the older videos while I work on getting everything transferred over. It's not going to be that much more work once it's done. And I have a third option that I'm also going to be doing hopefully next year. That one's in the works. But for right now, you'll be able to find the stuff on Patreon and Subscribestar. So even if you're not in Patreon, if that's not a thing for, like your business doesn't include that, it's still a good lesson in make sure you're not just on Facebook or just on Instagram or just on, if one of these platforms goes down, how are your followers going to find you? So that's what I'm currently working on, is moving everything over. It's a lot of work. The copy and paste, I'm just like, oh my gosh, no more. But yeah, it's all, so anyway, it'll be the same thing on Subscribestar. Like, it will be the exact same content, same rewards, same price, same everything. It's just that this way, if one goes, the other one, I've got that backup. So something I recommend anyone in business is not, when it comes to something like this, you don't want to put all those eggs in the one basket. Let's see. Bruna said, do you plan on making a portrait anytime soon? Love your art so much. I need to. I was actually just thinking about that. I really need to. Miriam said, hi Lisa, just finished watching your orchid care video. Loved it. It was a great special. Thanks. I'm glad you liked it. Let's see. Kevin said, good afternoon. Let's see. And everyone from Kevin of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago West, Indies, Caribbean, keep up the great work, Lachri. Thanks. Let's see. Do you like the Mars Lumograph graphite pencils or graphite art set by Faber-Castell? Faber-Castell, hands down for me. They're okay. They're not bad. I'm not that picky when it comes to graphite, but I definitely prefer the Faber-Castell. Faber-Castell and the Derwent Graphics are my go-to graphite pencils. So I'm going to use that same color I used to outline approximately where my little jellyfish is going to be, and I'm going to use my Phthalo Turquoise Light. I'm just going to lay that in there. Now, the cool thing with pigment markers is that they reactivate. So if something is like, wow, that didn't blend, you just get it wet or go back over it with a marker and it will reactivate and you can reblend it out. So they're a very forgiving medium. Like, I was never really big on Copics. I'm not good at blending them. I'm super impressed by people who can blend them. I am not one of those. I'm just going to use my fingers to smudge that out. And I never took the time to learn because it's like, they're not light fast anyway, so why bother? At least in my case. But I've never been good with markers. These I love because you're painting with them more and you can blend with them in a way, and it's largely because of the Yupo paper, but they just work so well with this. I'm just going to smudge that out, and I'm going to come on top with the Phthalo Teal Light underneath. Wrong side. So these markers have a small end for detail and a larger end. I'm probably going to go over this with another darker one, but this will work for now. See how I can just scribble? I've got all of these scribble lines. It's no big deal. And I'm just going to smudge that now right up into the other marker. And the other marker, even though it's dry, it's still going to blend because it reactivates once you put something else on it, whether it be marker or water. And I'm just moving my fingers in little circles here just to blend that out. And you can use brushes and stuff to try to blend, but more often than not, if I can use my fingers for it, I find it gives me better results. And if I have something that didn't blend perfect, I'm gonna put a bubble there. Easy fix. And then the same thing, you can see I've got all of these little smudges. We'll just go our marks. I don't know what the word of it there would be. We'll just blend all of that out. So my goal here is to have it really light and fade down to the darker values. Get that all nice and blended. There we go. And I am going to go back over it. I'll pull his little leggy things, I don't know what they are, down further, but I'm going to darken that even more. Let's see what darker color I have that will work for this. And I keep mine in a 3-drawer pastel box, the same thing that I used for my colored pencils. Maybe we'll use, let's see how the petrol blue works. I'm going to let that set for a minute. Let's see. Whoops. What's the best? Oh, that just went away. There we go. What's the best way to market your business? Many people use Facebook ads, etc. However, I think they're quite expensive. I have never, ever, ever ran an ad on Facebook. I'm kind of tempted to just to see what results I would get because I could make a video out of it. But I have my issue with Facebook, part of it is just like, it makes me mad the way they run their business. They kind of double dip. So like, let's say YouTube. YouTube is like, I'm a creator for YouTube, or anyone who's uploading videos. We are content creators. So we are making YouTube money because they put ads on our content and they pay us for that. We get a cut of that, which is awesome. Facebook, they while they are getting more towards, they're doing partnerships with some creators, it's not widely used. For most of us, what they're doing is we upload our content. So again, we're giving them content that they can place ads on, ads on the side. There's ads all over Facebook. We know that. I'm the content creator, you, the user, we are the content creators. But then on top of that, they're charging us, they want to charge us a fee to share that content with the people who have liked our page already. No, you're double dipping. That irritates me, so I just use the free aspects of it. Like I said, I'm kind of tempted to do a Facebook ad just so I could kind of see what if it makes that big of a difference and let you guys know what those results are so you can decide if it's worth it for you. But mine is kind of just more on principle. Facebook irritates me with that, so I have never done that. I just post regularly. Not as much on Facebook anymore. Again, not a huge, I'm not loving the many aspects of that platform. I post more usually on Instagram. Lately, I've not been feeling well. I've really not been posting much at all. But I've been posting more as I cough. No, I'm not sick. It's not COVID. It's my fibromyalgia and allergies, and it's all kinds of my normal mess. But anyway, the big thing is to post regularly on, consistently use, and if you're going to use Instagram, for example, use the hashtags. Make sure you're tagging your content for whatever is suitable for what it is that your content is. Try to get followers that way, and you can do that for free. You don't have to pay for that. So, well, yes, you can, and some people are really successful doing Facebook ads. I've not tried it myself, and like I said, it's largely on principle, not because that's the best business choice for me. The people who I have known a couple of people who did run a few Facebook ads and didn't see much result, but the people that I'm thinking of, I don't think they're not. I just don't know that they did it well. We'll say that. Like, their content was not necessarily appealing with or without an ad, so I'm not sure if that's part to do with it. But yeah, so we'll see. Maybe eventually I'll break down and do an ad and let you guys know if it was at all beneficial for me. But I don't think you have to. I think that you can grow your business just fine using the free aspects of social media. I do recommend having your own website. I've talked about that before. So that if, let's say, Facebook goes down, or let's say Patreon goes down tomorrow. No, it's not going to. No one panic. But let's say it did. You guys know you can go to my website and I'll tell you where we're moving those same videos. So, having your own website is a big, big deal. But the ads, like I said, they aren't a must. I've never used them, and I'm doing pretty well for myself. So take that for, I guess, how you want. George said, I look forward to seeing this. I've never used pigment markers. I'll be listening while continuing to work on a colored pencil portrait. Nice. Emily Emily said, hi, I'm really curious. Do you often use sketchbooks? I love doing big, time-consuming artworks, but not fond of sketchbooks, so I don't really sketch a lot. I don't. I did when I was younger. I don't. I'm with you. I like doing the big, more complete pieces. I just don't enjoy a little sketch. Like, I don't have time for it, honestly. All my time is going into making videos that are more elaborate. So I love looking at other people's sketchbooks, but it's just not something that I super enjoy doing myself, and I don't have time for it. Let's see. Starry Loft said, I'm sorry I'm late. I know this isn't a marker related, but how do you create accurate sketch of your portraits? So 2 ways that I use. One is if I'm going to freehand, I tried doing a grid. The grid, I'm bad at math. My grid was off. It didn't come out right. So I ended up freehanding. That came out perfect. I freehanded it just fine. So for me, just the way I work, freehanding, just sitting there, it may take me 16 hours to get it perfect. Like that, it was the one that I'm thinking of the first time that I tried the grid and it didn't work and I erased it. It was head, shoulders, hand. It was James Marsters from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But I found on that, I was just better off freehanding and it saved me time. I spent so much time on the grid and it doesn't work for me. Other people do great with them, not for me. I just freehand it. That's how my brain like processes that. The other way, if I want to save time, is just to use a projector or tracing and transfer, usually a projector if I'm doing it in portrait. So those are the 2 methods that I will use. And if I freehand, you won't be able to tell because everyone's like, oh, you cheated because you traced. You can't tell the difference. I can freehand just fine. You will not see a difference if I traced or freehand. It's just a matter of one is way faster than the other. So those are my methods. Pat said, I hear music. Do you have wind chimes? I do, and it's really windy out there. Let's see. Miriam said, love to sketch or painting or watching Jellyfish, but not being stung. Yeah, I right there with you. Gypsy Heart said, I'm here. Sorry I'm late. I had an MRI checking on my AS in my spine. So happy I found you found a jellyfish to work on today. Thank you. I hope that the MRI went well. Sergi said, do the markers stain your fingers significantly? Also, is that your preferred blending method for them? It is my preferred blending method. And so here you can see how dirty the finger is there. And I will just rinse that in some water. Dry that off. I don't have clean paper towels over here. And that was just barely dipping it in, and you can see it's mostly gone. If I wash it with soap, completely off. So it's not like getting Sharpie on your skin. Let's see, Danielle Yella said, hi, Lisa. Hi. Hi, Gracie. Gracie said, question, what paper do you recommend for markers? For these markers, Yupo paper. Like, hands down, it's the only one that I'll use for these markers. Let's see, I would love to see you do something with pastel pencils. It's not going to happen. I don't like pastels. I like how they look. Don't like working with them. I'm insane and they freak me out. Like the drying, no, I do pan pastels, but pastel pencils, not for me. Super impressed by people who use them and use them well. I don't, like, and I used to work with them when I was younger and I can use them. But now as I've gotten older, the feel of them, oh, it freaks me out. Like really freaks, like no, I'm insane and no. Daniela said, I've always used my phone to look at my reference photo for larger pieces. What do you use for Photoshop and what tips do you have? For my phone, I don't use my phone. My phone's too, I mean, I have a Galaxy Note, but it's still not big enough for me. We got a 27-inch monitor over here hooked up to a laptop. And that is what displays my reference photo. So I can really blow it up very, very large. For Photoshop, I use my desktop. And what tips do I have? What tips for I'm not sure what tips exactly you're looking for. My brain doesn't always pick up on what people are asking me when I'm live streaming because I'm like all over the place. So you may have to be a bit more specific for me. Hughes of Neon said, thanks for helping me, but with your helping me out with your tips on starting an art channel. Uploaded my video, hope to take it further. Nice. Here is a huge tip too. If you're getting started with, let's go ahead and pull out some orange markers. This guy may be a faster project than I intended. We'll see. But when you're getting started with like let's say a YouTube channel, it could be a YouTube channel, it could be your Facebook page, it could be Instagram, whatever social media platform you're doing to try to get your content out there and to get views, it's going to start slow. It's going to start really slow. It's funny to me when it comes up on my Facebook memories, like when I was all excited because I had 500 subscribers. And it took a long time to get to that. So, don't be frustrated and give up because it's not happening as fast as you want it to. That's normal. And it will pick up with time. So let's see. We've got a darker orange. Which one do I want to use? Ooh, that is a dirty marker. Let's wipe that off. I apparently had used that on something else. Now, in something like this, the shape does not need to be exact. I'm just, you know, very loosely using that reference photo. And like I said, that reference photo that I have on the screen, not like the only one that I'm using here. I've got a whole bunch of them. No, I don't think I like it blended out. Let's go ahead and go back over it. Let those, I think I'm going to leave a lot of those streaks in there. So I've got to make it look like he's in the water, and you have this very translucent area here. So while we do have orange around the edge, I'm going to pull some of that turquoise in. And then I'll kind of smudge the orange into that. Now, there are a few different ways that I like to blend these guys. One is actually with a paintbrush. So let's see if that gives me the results I want. I'm going to use a little bit of water and just smudge these two together. Because I'm on Yupo paper, water works really well with these. Have to wait a little bit for it to dry, but that'll work for a base layer there. Hold on, let me adjust my reference photos really quick. I have way too many up right now. Still have the hummingbird from Sunday or Wednesday, whatever day that was. Come on, move over. Give me just a second to get those rearranged. Okay, there we go. So the other one that I have, the lighting is hitting really strong, and that's really what I'm going to go for more with the lighting. So we'll do quite a bit of adjusting. I'm going to need to pull some reds into the darker areas, or ooh, actually this guy should work better. So this one is red henna. Actually, was this one? This may be one that's weirdly light. Nope, that is not the one that's weirdly light. Some of these colors are really, really light. This is not one. Now watch when you put your lid back on your marker. Be careful with this. Look at this one, was not careful. See how it's messed up there? Actually, just pull that off. But do be aware of that. Be careful as you put your lids back on your markers. I don't remember if that was one that came messed up or if I messed it up. I'm going to blend my orange right back over that. So you can mix your colors quite a bit. Let's take that paintbrush again and let's just use that to smudge. Now, while I would prefer to use my finger to blend this out, it's just too small of an area, so I'm not really going to get the results that I want. Let's let that set a second. Josephine said, "Hi Lisa, your thoughts on museum versus Albrecht Dürer. Also, should I get both? Thanks for being so open with your huge knowledge." The museum versus Albrecht Dürer, the museum aquarelle, I just scratched my nose with marker on my finger, so I probably have marker on my face now. But the museum aquarelle, the Caran d'Ache ones, they are more opaque. So they're a little bit more like gouache. Whereas the Faber-Castell, the Albrecht Dürer, sometimes I can say it, sometimes can't. Those ones are more translucent. They are more like a true watercolor. I like them both. I like to mix them both. And Caran d'Ache tries to say that theirs is like more of a true watercolor. No, it's not. I don't know who was smoking what when they made that claim, but they clearly hadn't used the product or knew what true watercolors felt like. So that's kind of a weird thing with those ones. They're both good. I like them both because they're not the same. I like that one of them is more like a watercolor and one of them is more like gouache, which is just opaque watercolor. So I like them both. If you can afford them both, I would get them both. If you can only get one, I can't tell you which one. Like I wouldn't even know. I really do like them both. My only reason to kind of talk crap about Caran d'Ache there is just in that their marketing was like, well, it's kind of typical. Caran d'Ache does that a lot, where they make claims that are not necessarily true about the product. I don't know who they get involved in those, but I don't think they know what they're talking about sometimes. Let's see. Lorna said, do you have to do light to dark with these markers, or will the lighter colors go over the dark? It's not. So actually, let me just do a demonstration on that, because that's a good question. It's not that it doesn't super like make them a lot lighter, but let me show you. So there's dark. We need to let that dry first. Let's go with then a lighter one. Now we need to let that dry so it will make it show up. Let's see if I've got a white pencil or white one in here. White and are you dry? Nope. I want it to dry so it'll kind of demonstrate this a little bit more clearly. You get different results. It's not that you always go light to dark or always dark to light. It depends on what result you're going for. Usually I go light to dark. That's normally, but not always. It just depends on what you're doing. And I'll show that once this dries in a second. Did you hand paint the image on the wall behind you? It's really beautiful. Thank you. Yes, I did. That's just like typical wall paint that I use to, yeah, I just needed something dark behind the easel because when I would photograph stuff, the light wall just wasn't photographing well with the artwork. So that is how that happened. Let's see. Got that one. Carla said, I have followed you since the beginning almost, and it took you a long time. It took you a long time to work your business. It takes dedication and hard work, but you were an example of that. Thank you. And yes, it took a long time. It was not a overnight process, and I think a lot of people expect it to be. Like, yeah, you'll occasionally have someone on YouTube who just takes off really fast. Like, they just make content that's very appealing to people and it'll take off really fast. That's not normally how it works, though. Usually, I mean, sometimes luck is involved, sometimes it's the content. So there's so many factors, but normally it's a long process. Whoop, that scrolled too far. Miriam said, talking about the Facebook double dipping, do you think that the same is true on Instagram? I think they bought them. Oh yeah, they're owned by the same company. And your Facebook group is staying for, oh yeah, Facebook, the group is still on there on Facebook. It's not that I'm not going to use Facebook, but I only use the free aspects of it. I'm not paying them. You know, you've got advertisements all over my content. I'm not paying you so you can continue to put more advertisements. That's no. But no, like, I'm not giving up Facebook. I'm not giving up like all this stuff where I'm talking about, you know, using different platforms with Patreon. I'm not giving up Patreon either. You just want to make sure you're spread throughout several things. But as far as the advertisement goes on Facebook, I just won't pay them. I use them, but I'm not going to give them additional on top of the ads they already place on my content. Let's see. Daniela said, I'm trying to paint animals like the way you take. I like the way you take a photo and give it a new background. What tips do you have for choosing backgrounds that will match? Hope that makes sense. My biggest tip, and I have a video here on YouTube somewhere, but use Photoshop, crop out your subject, and try on different backgrounds to see what will work. I don't usually just go, oh, in my head, I know this is what's going to work. I try it on with multiple backgrounds in Photoshop first so I can see if what my idea is going to work or not, because sometimes it very much does not work out. So if I have done that in Photoshop first, I'll find that out before I waste the time in paint supplies. Jordan's Palette said, at some point, could you do a jellyfish tutorial in acrylics? I tried to paint a jellyfish before and it didn't go well. We'll try it again, but would love your guidance. Yeah, and they're honestly easier in acrylics. Most things I think are. So let's go ahead. This should be, yeah, that's dry now. So when I take the white, which is apparently dirty, I've got yellow all over it. Oh my gosh, clean off. Hold on. Okay. When you go white over it, it's not so much that it's lightening it up, but if I keep going over it, I'm lifting marker off. I'm not making the white light. Even though this is white, it doesn't really show up. And then again, one white stripe, the only reason it lightens up is because I'm reactivating it and lifting that color off, but it's not really making it lighter. I'm letting the paper show through more, if that makes sense. If you go over with the dark obviously is more opaque, it's gonna cover it, which is true with most mediums. But the white, like I said, I find that the white marker doesn't really put much in the way of white pigment. It'll lighten it a little bit if you're blending with it, but not a lot. It's not much different, actually. Here, I'll show you my colorless blender. After I clean oh, that colorless blender is really dirty too. Okay, so here's the colorless blender. It's not that much different. Okay, a little bit different, but see how it mostly just lightens it. Whoops, I'm blended in with the black. But it's not like really adding much white pigment. It's not that different. And the more oops, I've got blue on it now. But the more I work over it, I'm exposing the white of the paper again more. So it lightens it a little bit, but not that much. So like I said, going back to it just depends on what effect you're trying to go for. I don't always go light to dark because sometimes it depends on what I want that end result to be. Have you done scraper boards? I have not. Toby said, I realized that Prismas have 150 colors and it includes colors that can be used for portraits, but I can get much more depth with Polychromos even though they have less colors. Yes, absolutely. Plus, keep in mind, the Polychromos are light fast, whereas like a third or a half or a large portion of Prismacolors aren't. So also something to keep in mind. Whoops, scrolling 1 second. There we go. Oh, that jumped again. Violet Sky said, I watched an older live stream and you said, stop wasting time searching for the right reference photo. Just paint. You're missing out on practice time. You were so right. I was wasting weeks. Oh, I have seen students do that for years too, like where they would come to class and they would spend so much time trying to find the perfect reference photo. And I'm like, why do you need me? You're paying me right now and you're not for nothing. So I can watch you pick a photo. Like just pick something. You're not learning anything while you're wasting too much time trying to find that perfect photo. Emily said, any tips for taking good photos of your artwork, getting a good digital copy of it? DSLR is my biggest tip. Get a good camera. Right now I use a Canon 6D. I used to use a Nikon, I want to say it was a D3500, something like D something. But the Canon is certainly better than the Nikon, but the Nikon worked too. You know, just a Canon or a Nikon, either way, you're going to be good. But getting a good digital camera, and then I will have to take the image into Lightroom and both Photoshop more often than not to make it as much like the original as possible, because I'm not the world's best. I'm not even a photographer. I can't even call myself a photographer. My camera's really good and it does the work for me, but I still have to make alterations because I'm not the best photographer in the first place. But I will go into Photoshop or Lightroom and, oops, I made a smudge. Hold on, let's see if I can fix that smudge. There we go. I will go into Photoshop or Lightroom to make it look even more like the reference photo, or I mean like the original painting. I'm going to use the white. We're going to pull some areas up. You want to take your marker and wipe it off. Like I use it on the marker or the tape. Sometimes I do it on a paper towel. It'll start picking up a lot of the color that you're blending it in with. So you're going to have to do that a bit. I'm making a muddy mess. Now I'm going to show, actually we've got plenty of time. I'm going to show you what to do if you make a muddy mess. Let's say I don't like this, which I'm not loving the colors I've mixed together. I'm going to take a Q-tip or cotton swab if you're not in the US, get it wet. I'm going to wipe this all off. Let's do it again. Don't like it. This is one of the coolest things about this. If you're not happy with the results you're getting, let me actually I'll just use a piece of this paper towel and do it again. Because I'm getting to a point where I am making a muddy mess. I'm not loving my color choice. No big deal. I didn't ruin anything. I'm just going to do it again. And look, and now I have a much more nicely blended base. So when you're working with pigment markers, very forgiving. I love that. Toby said, how do you know Heather Rubini? Have you seen some of her portraits? I have seen her portraits. I mean, I don't know her personally, but she does awesome work. Sarah said, I've never used Copics, but it kind of bothers me that they're so expensive and they're not light fast. Yeah, I don't think most artists that use them even realize that. But I mean, most of the people that I know of that do it, they use it for like comics. They do it for things that they're making prints of more so than selling the original. So maybe that's, Makes it okay? I don't know. Actually, you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to try this a little bit different. Let's put the teal, the darker color here first. And I'm going to take a Q-tip and just kind of smudge that out. This is a dry Q-tip. There is no water on that this time. Oh yeah, that is giving me better results. And now I'm going to come back through with the oranges. And I'm going to leave some of the white of the paper showing through here instead of just trying to lighten it back up. Take that Q-tip again. I'm going to use that to smudge. Now, one of the things that you'll have to get used to with the pigment markers is sometimes it blends better once it's sat for just a few extra seconds. Let it dry just a bit. If it's too wet, you don't get the, it like lifts too much. So let it set just a little bit if you're getting it to be too streaky. Yeah, this is giving me a much better result. And then I can use the white to add highlights there. The other thing I can do is take that Q-tip, add a little, oops, let's get a clean one. Add a little bit of water. And I can just pull up where I wanted highlights. Okay, I think I will use the red. We've got this little kind of fluffy frilled edge there. Okay, we're gonna let him go for a bit. We're gonna come down and work on the little fluffs down here. Now, like I said, I'm going with the reference photo. If you got these, they are over at Patreon, patreon.com/Lachri. You do not need to be a member to get these photos. They should be public if I wasn't dumb when I posted them. But I'm going with the one that has a lot more highlights on the base here. So I'm gonna put a base of, this is Indian Red Light. It's kind of a cream color, or pink. Actually, wait, that's too. So one of the things you want to watch on these, the color that this comes out as, let me show you on a sample. This color is not quite what it shows on the package. I don't know if the color, because the color on these aren't usually very accurate. This shows peach. That is a rosy pink. That is not the same, and that is not the color I want. So let's make a few. I usually have a scratch piece of paper that I test on, because that's one complaint I have about these. The color's not always what it shows. What I want is like a peach color, like an actual peach color. Yeah, that one might work. Let's see if I have a lighter one. Light sienna. Or, what is this one? Portrait pink. No, it's going to be too light. What are you? Let's see, parchment. Too brown. Okay. So I'm going to do this with then light sienna, little kind of curly guys, little circles. And like here, where I would like this to be a little bit longer, I'm going to change the direction that I drew this out in. I'm just going to take another Q-tip, swipe off that blue. And Wade just rolled over his birthday cake toy. So we're going to listen to Happy Birthday for a while. It unfortunately goes way too long. Can you guys hear that? Oh my gosh. Let's see. Hopefully that's not copyrighted. Hallie said, or Haley, I can't say things. I took your advice and bought the Polychromos, Chinese white, and the Luminance white. I've started my very first colored pencil piece. I love them so far. Drawing my dad's dachshund. Nice. Casey said, glad I didn't miss this. Sadly, this will be the last Friday live stream I can watch because school starts next week. Aw, but yay, to go back to school, that's got to be nice. I think everyone's been out for so long, I'd imagine everyone's anxious to get back. I'm going to leave some of that white showing. See how it faded out into the blue? I love how that came out. I'm leaving it. That wasn't even in my intent, but I like it. So I'm going to get some blue. We're going to pull some aqua in here. Yeah, the funny thing with Wade and his birthday cake toy is he wasn't even playing with it. He just rolled over and laid on it. So now I'm taking a darker orange. Just going to do little sections in here. See how it's blotchy. I guess that's a good way to put it. We want lights and darks showing. Some of this is going to come out into the blue more. And if it fades into the blue, great. We just got blending like super easy. We don't need this to be perfect. See how some of it is sticking out? So we don't want just perfectly smooth. Variation is a big deal. Okay, now we are going to have, I need this to dry. I am going to come back there with a little bit of white and possibly a little bit more with the Q-tip and the white or the water, but I need this to dry. Otherwise, I'm just going to smudge everything together. So we're going to let that set for just a second. Shannon said the caps not matching was the reason I switched all of my markers, Inktense and watercolor pencil pans. I can get away with colored pencils, but the others need a swatch. Yeah, a swatch, not switch. I didn't read that right. Yeah, I've done that on some, but I am too lazy. I just do a quick, I just test everything on here first. So I've done where I have actually color swatches of all of my Inktense. I never pull them out anymore, so I'm too lazy. Casey said, our school is all online in classes, so I'm not looking forward to it. I prefer the classroom. Oh, it's going to be rough. I know a lot of my friends are doing that, or their kids. They've been posting photos of their kids working from home. Let's see. Yeah, you guys, a lot of you heard the happy birthday song from Wade. Oh, wow. Happy Birthday is copyrighted by Warner Chappell Music. They paid $25 million for it. But isn't that like a super old? I'm curious how that works out. Like, because a toy company putting that music in there, did they have to pay royalties? It's interesting. The music is appropriate, though. I'm getting these pigment markers for my birthday, and I look forward to following this tutorial when I have them. Nice. This will be a fun one. I think this is a good first project. Then I have, I did a tree frog. I have some more advanced ones, but this one's so, I mean, you can tell we're very relaxed. We're, almost an hour in and almost 45 minutes, and we're nearly done with it. This is a very, very good starter. Okay. What did I want to do? White. Now you will have to keep wiping your paper off because see, you can see the dark on this from when I used it before. That will go off onto your paper. See, this is the white marker and look at how dark that is because it's dirty. So I need to clean that. I wipe it off on either a paper towel or another piece of paper. It doesn't have to be Yupo. You can wipe it off on anything. There we go. Yeah, I'm just lightening this up. It's not really giving me quite the look I want. A little bit. Let's try a little bit more with the Q-tip and see what we like. Just a tiny bit of water. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Okay, and then this guy has his little stringy guys. Actually, we can even darken some of this a bit more than what we have. Let's pull some of the reds in there. Wow, they have a lot of little hairy guys coming through here. Try to do this in one motion for each strand as much as you can. A couple of these I'm lifting where I shouldn't. I'm going to use this same red. Let's pull some of these shadows around here. This is the fastest Friday paint-along project I think I've done. I didn't think it would go this fast. Like, what am I going to do with the rest of our time here? I guess we can keep fussing over it. Just adding little things or undoing things that I don't like. We'll see how many mistakes or things I wish I hadn't done end up happening. Let's get some more orange in there. We usually don't have time on these live streams to just keep fussing over little details, which is kind of fun. Let's see. Miriam said, wait, made me think an ice cream truck was coming through. Is there a way to get the bright orange with the pigment markers? Yeah, there's bright orange. I mean, this one here is really bright orange. This is Winsor Newton Orange Red shade. It is pretty bright. I mean, that's a bright color. So if you want that, just don't mix as many colors with it like I did. Jackie said, in 2016, judge ruled that it's not under copyright, so royalties no longer have to be paid to Warner. Oh, nice. Yeah, it seems kind of crazy that one would have been. Sarah said, I thought Happy Birthday entered the public domain a few years ago. Okay. Yeah, you guys seem to know all of that. Okay, I'm going to pull a little bit more orange into him now. Notice how I'm getting streaks where it follows the shape of the jellyfish, so he still looks kind of rounded. I don't want that to look flat. And it sounds like a pigeon is trying to get, or a dove is trying to get into the tiny bird feeder outside my window again. He's making quite a racket. The first time I heard that, I thought something horrible was happening outside. Yeah, no, it's a noisy pigeon trying to get to an area he's not supposed to sit. I keep saying pigeon, dove, whatever, same thing. Dove sounds fancier. He has his own food. Like I feed the doves too, but they have a different area. But they eat there super fast, so I guess that's why he keeps bugging trying to get the little birds. Pigs. Let's go back with some more white and see if I can pull any. Oh yeah, that's actually working. Let's pull some highlights on there, and I'll have to keep wiping that off so it picks up more blue. Let's do some highlights with the white there too, with the little one. Be careful. You really can create mud with this by overdoing it. I mean, worst case scenario, if you do create mud, you do what I did in the beginning where you just wipe it off because you didn't like how it came out and go over it. But you do want to watch for that. It blends so easy because it reactivates. Let's do some little bubbles. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm just going to do little circles. Let's see if oops, let's screw that up. See if I can get some little white highlights. I'm not sure how well they'll show up this way. Wipe off the marker again. I've got to get all that orange off. Oh, good. It does let me give a little bit of a highlight there. Yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a really fast project. I don't really have much else I want to add to this guy. I wanted to keep him really translucent looking. I think that worked out pretty well. Yeah, that is, these are super, they're fast to work in. They're very fun. You lay it down very quickly, and being able to blend like this, I think, is just such a cool thing about it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can do. I mean, we've got an hour. What else? Do I have any reference photos over here we can draw? I don't know if I've got anything over here. I really didn't think this would go that that fast. I forgot how fast these are to work in. Let's see. Have you tried the Posca markers? I have not. I heard their white pen is brighter and true. Interesting. No, I have not tried them. Toby said, what is the color in the Polychromos 120 set that you always can't live without? Caput Mortem. Love that color. It's like everything. I don't think there's ever been a piece that I've not used. No, I take it back. I don't think I used it in the macaw because it was just the 12 colors, but I mixed it pretty much. Jada said, I call pigeons trash doves. We have a ton living in our roof and they coo in the morning. Such a nice comforting sound. That's funny. Trash doves. I love it. Violet Sky said, have you ever given up on a piece that wasn't working out? You seem to have artistic superpowers where everything you see turns out beautiful. Thank you. And yes, it's been years, like probably 15 years, like a long time that I just gave up. And it happened more often in the beginning, and I finally learned it was better just to keep working on a piece and make it work, make it look good. If that means you have to change your vision, fine, change your vision, make it work. So I've had pieces that the end result I wasn't in love with, but I still finished them. So, because you learn from that, you're going to learn from that. If you give up on a piece and you're just like, it's not working, I'm going to start something different. You didn't learn from it other than to give up. Like you didn't learn how to fix it. You want to learn how to fix what doesn't look good. So that's probably, I would say the last time I did that was maybe 2008 was the last time I remember going, nah, this one isn't for me. I'm going to start something different. So yeah, it's been a long time for me. So I guess not 15 years, 12 years. I can math. But yeah, I would strongly encourage anyone who is like, I'm just going to give up on this, push through it and try to make it look good. Like just keep working on it. Let's see. Whoops, that scrolled too far. Maybe add a couple more of the fish. It's too... Do I need to take that away from you? It's too small, really, to add fish. The markers don't get that fine of detail. It really wouldn't... That wouldn't work out too well. Let's see. Is there a way to lock in the pigment to the Yupo paper so it won't reactivate? Not that I know of. Aurora said, what is the artist grade watercolor set you'd recommend? I don't use watercolors other than watercolor pencils, and with those I can recommend the Faber-Castell, Caran d'Ache. I also like the Derwent. They're less light fast, but just for prints and such, I really like the performance of those. So that I can recommend, but as far as like actual watercolors, I don't know anything about them really. I've not used watercolors besides the pencils. So, I mean, when I was a kid and used like Crayola watercolor, so I can't give you advice there. I don't want to give you bad advice. If any of you guys are watercolor artists, feel free to leave suggestions. Whoop, that just jumped. Where were we? Andrea said, can one use colored pencil over the markers? I'm guessing no. Then I would ask anyway. You can, but on Yupo paper, there is no tooth. It's plastic. So the pencils don't stick that well. I've used them before. The ones that worked the best for me were Caran d'Ache Luminance. The oil-based markers, or oil-based pencils really didn't stick. But yeah, it's not, I'll actually grab some and show you. That's a good question. So they sort of work. I'll show you first. We'll use some Polychromos, which really don't stand out very much at all. All of these need to be sharpened apparently. So let's say I want to draw a line coming down. Okay, that actually shows up fairly well. Better than I expected it to. So that one is working really, in certain colors will show up better than others. But like here, going over that, it's not really showing up. It showed over the light, but nothing, it's not doing much in here. Although this is kind of fun to add details. So I think we will keep working on this one. This is enjoyable. But see how it shows up. But watch when I do, this is not the same color, but it's close. I just grabbed a bunch of different pencils. But here, this is the Caran d'Ache Luminance. And these ones I found show up better. See, look at how much, I don't know if you can see that, Nick. Here's the Polychromos. Here is, wait, let's do a sample. This is not the easiest to show you guys on. I'm just going to make a base. We're going to let it dry, and then I'll go over it with pencils and show you. Let's smudge it out. I don't really care if it's muddy. I just want something as a base to show you how the colored pencils show up on top. I'll get a few darker colors too. I have too many things in my hand right now. And the more pigment marker that gets on, that's going to, alter that a bit too. So let's let that one dry for a bit, and we'll do a few more of the highlights. So here is now Polychromos white doesn't show up on that much anyway, but you can see absolutely nothing. Like nothing is happening. But here is the Caran d'Ache, or the Derwent drawing. A little bit, not a lot. And oh, this one isn't white. This one is buff titanium, but it'll still show up better. This one, I don't know if you can see on the video, but this one is actually making a difference. It is showing up. It's lightening it a bit. So not a ton. Because of it being so smooth, there's nothing for it to stick to. So here, oh, this one, the Polychromos is actually showing up here over the light area quite a bit more. So we can get some little details in there. Let's get some detail on the bubbles, since that's working for us. I've used them before on, I'm trying to think what I did. There was a frog piece that I did, and I used them a bit for the details on the back. It worked. It kind of worked. Kind of yes, kind of no. What medium am I going to use on my next live stream? So the next one is going to be Wednesday, and we're going to paint the hummingbird on the hummingbird piece. So that's acrylics for next Friday. I'm not sure. Something with pencils. So probably colored pencils, but I'm not sure what. No, so I guess I do know what medium. I just don't know what subject we're going to do yet. Leah said, currently starting the background for the jellyfish in acrylics. Any tips? Make it fade from a light color to a dark color, and try to go in a U as much as you can. That generally gives you more of a feel of water. Because there is my tip. Sherry said, I love the way markers look, but I'm also bad with them. Are these markers alcohol based? I only ask because I can't seem to get I can't talk. Alcohol based markers shipped here. So there is alcohol in them, but they're not. I don't think they consider them alcohol based, which doesn't. I don't know. They're pigment markers. Like it's a pigment, so they say that's different. I don't know the science behind it, honestly. But I mean, you can look up online what's included in them, but they don't work the same as an alcohol marker. So plus I'm using it on Yupo paper, so you can see that they blend because of the way the pigment is. I guess it's a different, I don't know. I was watching somebody, when was this? Do a Copic marker, tried it on Yupo. It wasn't the same at all. But as far as being able to ship them, I don't know. They're not considered alcohol based, but like I said, there is alcohol in them. I missed a bunch. One second, I'm just scrolling up here. There we go. Casey said, remember when I was telling you about how I was painting the copper banded butterfly and I accidentally added a halo around him? Well, I got paint on him and it ended up painting over him. As long as you paint it again and learn from that, that's fine. But just keep going. Artist Robbie said, do you know CJ Hendry? I do not. She's a hyperrealist. She is bringing out colored pencil next year. She said she is making the colored pencils better than luminance, cheaper than Prismas. I don't buy it. So here's the thing. I don't know this person. I can't judge them. I don't know anything about them. I don't know anything about this situation, but here's like a generalized, if a random person tells me that, my attitude is going to be bull. There's a reason the good ones cost so much. There's a reason Prismacolor costs so little and why they can afford to pay so little, because they are manufactured badly. You have to understand how creating a product works, And while we would all like to be able to provide, I would love to, Gibson's sleeping on his back, his legs are just in the air, but I would love to like to make a product and have it be super, let's go with paintings. I would love to be able to sell everyone a painting for $10, an original painting. I can't do it. I can't afford to do that. Like the cost of supplies, the cost of manufacturing it alone, or with the necessary tools, it's not possible. And I kind of feel like that's the same. Now, again, I've not heard anything about this, and I'd be willing to give them a try, and hopefully she manages it. But I'm gonna call probably not. I've known of a few people who looked into having colored pencils made, and I'm thinking you're gonna end up with an Arteza or whatever that company is, brand type of thing, where you end up with a really cheap, cheap manufacturer making crappy products, selling them for next to nothing because they can afford to, because they're not the greatest supplies. Like the pigment used in colored pencil, the pigment used in paper and paint, it's not cheap. There's a reason certain colors cost more, like in acrylic paints. So let's say you go with like goldens or something like that. Certain colors are going to cost more because the pigment costs more. It's not that these companies are making a killing because the product costs so much. The cost to make the product is very high. So I don't believe somebody's gonna make something better than Luminance, cheaper than Prismacolor. Prismacolor's cheap because it's crap. There's a reason it's cheap. You're not going to get this quality for this cost with the cost of making it. And so if somebody's making that claim, I'm gonna call bull. I don't think that they are. I think that maybe they intend to, maybe they have the best intentions in the world, but chances are they're having it made somewhere in China with crap supplies, kind of like Arteza stuff, or Arteza, whatever that company is. That's what I would guess was going to happen. I don't think it's possible to make better than Luminance, cheaper than Prismacolor. These stuff, they're expensive to produce. So I'm gonna say probably not. And again, I don't know who this person is. So maybe she found something magical that I am not aware of. That would be awesome. I don't see it happening. Let's see. Lorna said, maybe Wade knows it's my studio assistant's birthday tomorrow, an early song. Happy early birthday for your studio assistant. Let's see. I draw portraits, however, I use Polychromos, but they do not have a skin tone. What is the best way to build up skin tones using these? You're blending. So this is a common misconception. People think, and I used to be asked this all the time. Finally, people stopped asking me this. Maybe they figured out what I was going to say. What color do I need for skin? Are you unaware people come in different colors? I mean, maybe you don't know. It's possible. So that right there, there's number one. Point number two, what lighting is that person under? If I adjust the lighting from this to outdoor lighting, to lighting if I'm sitting in another room, I just changed my skin 8 different colors as it faded from one location to another with the lighting. Next, look at here, let's pull this up so I can actually see my face. This side. I see I've used more Caput Mortem. Over here, I'm going to use a lot of buff, a lot of a kind of cream color. I'm going to use some reddish browns, but then I'm going to put white on top to tone them down. I just listed, 5 colors, and that's just my base. That's just getting started. There's no one color. So even with me, there's no color in any brand that matches all, look, different, lighter. Here, I've got a reddish tone because yay, bad skin. We've got the darker tones over here. Darker. How about here? Look how dark that is. That is not the same as here. What skin color do I use then when I'm a different color here from here? You're not looking at it right. You're not looking at what portraits are about values, not about, I need skin color. It's not how that works. It's not, you're going to have a cartoon. If you want a skin color, you just drew a cartoon. You did not draw an actual portrait. So when you're looking at your colors, it depends on so many different factors, but you're blending and you're layering. I mean, to get my lighter tones here, I would probably blend 5 different colors. And I don't care which brand of colored pencil I use. That's probably what's going to happen. It takes a lot, and it's really about your lights and your darks more than the colors anyway. Because like I said, even with me, you move me into any different, I move to the other side of the room and the color will just shift because the lighting is different over there. So I'm going to use different color. I've got a different hue on my skin. So, don't look at it as I need skin colors. Yeah, no, and I know companies market like, oh, here's our skin set, and those can be convenient, but you have those colors, you just mix anyway. Like all of the brands have colors that would be suitable for any skin tone. It's just a matter of how you're mixing and blending them and layering them, which is what we do in colored pencil anyway, because we aren't cartoonists. Laura said, okay, got that one. I love that you brought that up too, because it's like, well, a lot of people think that. Nick said, you've seen the size of my dog's ears, right? Every time Wade starts playing Happy Birthday, Leo is all up in my earphones twisting his head back and forth. That is funny. Wade's the same thing. If I play a video, like a YouTube video, especially if it's bird sounds, oh my God, that dog is here and his head's going to the side and like poking at it with his nose. Like he is obsessed with video, like any kind of video on my phone. Laura said, would brush and pencil touch up add texture to Yupo? I don't know if it would stick to it. It's not intended to go on plastic, so I don't think it would be super effective. And you don't really want texture to it, I mean, for the most part. So, and I think I did try using brush and pencil, or I tried using acrylic paint, but it kept reactivating and it didn't really stick to it. I didn't have the best results. I didn't play with it that much though, so keep that in mind. Toby said, hi Lisa, I'm from the Philippines and we artists here love your work, including my friends too. That's awesome, hello. Violet Sky said, oh, that is a big wasp flying out my window. That is not what Violet Sky said. Violet Sky said, I have several unfinished pieces hanging around. Some are quite old. You've motivated me to go back and finish them. Yes, that is awesome. Go finish. Amy said, I'm going to paint you purple and blue. And by the way, use Prismacolors. That's awesome. Okay. So I wanted to show how this showed up. So here's white, that's the Derwent, and I'm having to really go over that a lot to get that to really show up. That's going to be hard if you're trying to do little detail over and over again in the same area. It's really not going to show well. Here is the Polychromos white, nothing. This is buff. This isn't actually white, but it's, I had better results getting the, and again, that's buff. So it is supposed to be cream there. I grabbed the wrong pencil, but I've had better results with Caran d'Ache than any other brand. So here's a red with Polychromos. This one's actually more of an orangey red. Look at how much more that shows up, and they're very similar colors. So the Caran d'Ache really does stick better to this than Polychromos for Yupo paper. You can sit here and do little doodles. Let's get little details since we've got the time. We can make them really nice. I really like how the blending for this color here with the words are so hard. The luminance is coming out. And I'm going to throw my pencil on the floor. Apparently, I don't like it that much. Ooh, I found my blending brush that's been missing under my easel. Jana said, for skin color, my black chicken has a bunch of feathers that look black most of the time, but when the light is on him just right, they're a shimmery teal. Yep. Same thing like any black, like, Salon is black, legs sprawled, but black hair, you're going to have the same thing too, or something very similar. Toby said, I think I'm going to stock up on cinnamon, nugget, and caput mortem too. Those are good colors. I use those a lot. And it's funny when he sleeps on his back, his teethers are like showing. It almost looks like he's like, if the dog were growling. Okay, let's do some more little details here with this, being that we've got the time. These markers are so much fun. Like that's what, after I tried them, when Winsor Newton contacted me, it was years ago, and they asked if I wanted a sample, and they were contacting several artists on YouTube and to get us to do videos. I was like, I mean, sure, because it's Winsor Newton. I like their products, but markers aren't really for me. I'll give it a try. Oh my God, I love them. I went out, I spent over 100. I know that for sure. Hobby Lobby, I was lucky about the same time that I went out looking for them all, they had them on clearance. So I went to, right after I found out that I liked them, I was visiting my parents in California. So I had my dad taking me around to different Hobby Lobby, like trying to buy all of the clearance markers. So he at one point was sitting, he was not amused with me. He was sitting there like checking the tips on all of them because some of them were really trashed. V-Grader said, when working on large surfaces for colored pencil or pen pastels, do you need a new set of techniques? No, I don't find that to be the case. It's just patience. You need a lot of patience because it's time consuming, but you're going to use the same techniques. It's not like, I mean, you have a point of a pencil. You can't make it larger. So no, it's the same. I mean, whereas if you're painting on a canvas, I'd be like, okay, we're going to switch to this brush for that. You're not really doing that. I mean, with a pencil, it's a pencil. You're not changing sizes. So no, it's the same. Aurora said, have you ever used Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils? What do you think of them? I love them. I have videos of them here on YouTube. The Albrecht Dürer I love the Albrecht Dürer, I don't think I have the video. I think I did them in a live stream. Oh, I need to do Did I? I'm trying to think. I didn't edit one with those, did I? Which is stupid because I love those pencils. I need to do a complete project with those. Actually, let's write that down. Did I do one? I'm trying to think. Did I use them for something? I don't remember. Where did my... Oh, I don't know. I lost it. I need to do a review of those because, I mean, the review is essentially going to be, I love these. So, you know, spoiler alert. But they're really nice pencils to work with. I know I've used them on Patreon. And I don't remember if I've edited. I don't think I have because I haven't been bad about editing videos. Although I'm getting back to doing it. The only reason I didn't have one edited this week is because I'm trying to get everything duplicated over to Subscribestar just in case anything ever happened to Patreon. But yeah, that's, I need to do that. I know that I want to do something with a fish because that seems to be what I'm doing with all my watercolor reviews. So I did the lionfish with the Derwent watercolor pencils. I did the clownfish and anemone in the watercolor in Caran d'Ache, and then I need to do something else similar, I think, for just, you know, staying with the theme. The thing that I really like with watercolor pencils too, whichever brand you go with, they print beautifully. They made, like I've made postcards out of them and prints. They print so nice. It's some of my favorite work is honestly with those. I really like them. Some of this is actually easier to do with a colored pencil over on the Yupo than it, which surprises me, than it was with the markers, just for the small areas. I'm going to darken up a few little areas in here. Yeah, it's very hit or miss, like how much of the pencil seems to want to stick to different areas. So it's kind of hard to control. I feel like it's more of one of those things like, let it do what it wants to do and hopefully it comes out cool. Nick said, oh, yes. If you have, I have plenty of time for questions. If you have one, just tag it at Lachri Fine Art so I see your question. It doesn't have to be about markers, any art medium you want, or greyhounds. I mean, whatever you want. We've got a lot of time. It's going to get awkward sitting here staring at each other. So, yeah, ask away. Amy said, you did a rose in a live. Oh, that's right. Yeah, I need to do a fish. Those are awesome colored pencils, watercolor pencils. I probably will do something like that pretty soon. I'm working on sort of working right now on the graphite. This week on Patreon, we're going to do, it's an older dolphin painting. I'm going to do the voiceover for because that was never there. Then hopefully I'll get the giraffe after that. And then maybe the watercolor pencils. Something more elaborate than what I did on the live stream. Mrs. Ray said, this is beautiful. I usually don't click on your videos where you use markers because I never thought I could do this, but those markers look magical. Who knew they blend? Yeah, that's what I like about them. I tried them once without like the blending and was kind of like, yeah, not necessarily for me. I was just trying to blend with the marker themselves. I saw a video on YouTube where someone was blending with their fingers and they were doing more cartoony things, but I went and applied it. You can do full on realism with this stuff. Like they're really amazing. And it is like blending like this. I can't do that with Copic. I know it can be done. I can't do it. I never put the effort into learning, but it's super easy with these. Jessica said, what's brand and number set of pencils do you recommend for a complete beginner? So if you are a complete beginner, I would say get a 12 set of Polychromos. You've got in the 12 set, you have most of the colors you need, but in addition to that, I would say get a Derwent Drawing Chinese White, and you can get these online through like Dick Flick or Jerry's Artorama, but a Derwent Drawing Chinese White and a Luminance, this is actually not the white, where did it go? A Luminance White. This one's actually titanium buff, but close enough for now. But get the white of these because the white Polychromos, not very opaque. But get those, get a 12 set of Polychromos, and they're amazing. And then you can add to that if you want to. And I would say really, I mean, get what you can afford. If you can afford a bigger set, go with a bigger set. But the thing that I liked about the Polychromos is I felt like the set of 12 that I used, I had every color I needed besides white, obviously. But, you can get started and you can do professional quality work with just 12 pencils and then those white pencils. But get whatever, the thing I like about the smaller set, so get, if you can afford the full set of 120, get the full set of 120. Get Caran d'Ache and Faber-Castell and Derwent Lighthouse if you can afford it. It depends on what your budget is, but here's the good thing about, let's say you start with a set of 12. force yourself to learn to blend and create new colors with that set of 12. When you upgrade and you get more colors, it's going to be easier for you. With that set of 12, you're learning how to blend and shade and mix in a way that somebody who just started with 120 may not learn. Because the person with 120 is like, oh, I need this perfect shade of pink, I'm just going to pick up that perfect shade of pink. Whereas you, with a set of 12, had to learn how to mix it with your red, your violet, and your white. So you're learning more, I think, from a set of 12 than you're going to, and it's less overwhelming. A lot of people will get the bigger sets, and one of the first things they ask me when they try to follow a tutorial, well, I need to know what color you're using. No, you don't. You don't. You need to know what my values are. How light are my lights? How dark are my darks? That is what's going to make it look realistic. And by limiting yourself to a smaller number, and even if you get a set of 120, I would still recommend pick like 12 pencils out of that and just work from those. You're going to learn so much more from doing that than trying to, you know, just grab paint by number, whichever color you need. Now, I'm not saying that you won't eventually do that. I mean, normally now I just grab which color I need, but I also know how to blend. If I didn't have a color I needed, I could mix and blend into that. And it's just a really good thing to learn. Where are we? Violet Sky said, do you have a favorite brand for transparent mixing white and acrylic? Liquitex Basics. I've used the soft body. It's okay. I've used the heavy body. It's okay. They dry too fast. That's the main reason for it when it comes to the transparent mixing white. I go with the Liquitex Basics. They just work well for me. Where were we? Aurora said, are Inktense blocks good? I'm not sure if I should try those or actual watercolor pencils or watercolor themselves. So just for transparency, I did the cover on the Inktense blocks. I'm partial. Keep that in mind. You know, you may want to ask somebody who's not so in love with Inktense as me. I love Inktense, and if I could only choose the blocks or the watercolor, or the blocks or the pencil, I hands down would go with the blocks. Because you use them like a watercolor pen. Now, Inktense is very different than watercolor. They're two different mediums. Inktense is water-soluble ink. When it dries, it's permanent, so you don't lift it like you can with watercolor. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. They're different mediums, and I approach them a bit differently, the way that I work with them both. But I love Inktense blocks. So, you know, I'm definitely a bit, sorry, itchy nose, I'm a bit partial to them. One, I got to do the cover for the artwork, so I'm already going to, you know, I'm a bit biased. But I like them even before that. I'm just a huge, oh, itchy nose, stop. I'm just a huge fan of Inktense, and especially the blocks. So I like them. I recommend them. Let's see. But as far as actual watercolor or watercolor pencils, it's up to you. They're different mediums. So I'm just a huge fan of the Inktense, and I will normally use the blocks. I don't use the pencils nearly as much as I do the blocks, if that helps. Sergio said, would you still be up to doing a comparison type video between the different types of pencils, such as light fast luminance or your different graphite brands? Possibly. It's getting a little bit hard for me to do some of the comparisons. So I'll do like the general review, what I like, what I dislike about it, but it's hard for me to compare them. I think because I'm aware that at this point, certain products, I'm going to be a little bit more biased. Like I love Derwent's company. I like Faber-Castell company. I don't know a lot about Caran d'Ache, and I find that may influence, I don't know, I feel like my older comparison videos were very raw in that there was no bias. I didn't have an attachment one way or another, and now I've worked with some of these brands, and it makes it harder for me to be unbiased. I liked them already, so there was that, but it's kind of hard to compare some of them. If it's a brand I've not worked with before, that I think would be fairly, you know, easier to do, but I don't know. And I don't know what brands I would even compare at this point. Unless it was like, I guess I could do it like Golden's versus Liquitex Basics. That might be kind of a cool comparison. And I don't have a bias there. I've not really worked with either. I did a little bit of stuff with Liquitex, but I don't have like I don't feel biased towards them one way or another. So maybe that would be cool. I'm thinking out loud. Can you tell? I'm just kind of working through this in my head. The colored pencils, I think I've pretty much covered all of those. Same thing with well, maybe not the graphite. The graphite, you're not going to notice a big difference on, so I don't think that would make a very interesting video, but I kind of like the idea of doing like Liquitex versus Golden's. Gives me an excuse to buy a whole bunch of Golden's acrylics, which I've wanted to do anyway, so maybe that's something I should do. So maybe I just changed how is that? I went through in the period of like 5 minutes, no, I don't think I will too. I think that's a great idea. I can convince myself of anything. Daniela said, what brand of paintbrushes do you use in acrylics? I don't have a specific brand that I'm like, this is my brand I always go to, with few exceptions. Like for my liner brush, I like the Hobby Lobby, and this is hilarious because I don't typically use generic, but Hobby Lobby generic, their synthetic hog hair liner brush, I absolutely love. That's my favorite liner brush. But I use Simply Simmons. I use a lot of, actually I use a lot, this was one of the Hobby Lobby generic brushes. I use a lot of those. I don't have like a brand that I'm super like loyal to. I'm good with cheap brushes. So, like the generic ones, I can get them to work for me just fine. So I'm not super picky when it comes, I guess, to those. I mean, a tack-on bristled filbert is pretty similar across most brands. There's some difference, maybe like the Simply Simmons tend to be a little bit more firm, but it's not a huge difference. So I don't have a single brand that I'm like attached to. I have certain brand or brushes that I use, like for acrylics. I typically use Taklon bristled brushes. So if that helps. I've got both white and golden Taklon, depends on the brand, which one I like. I've got a few flats and some rounds and like the liner brush like you see here. But the brand itself, not a huge deal. Let's see, Jessica said, wow, I didn't know you could make so many colors with only a few colors. Thanks so much. Yeah, go look up. I did a macaw. It's like, God, what did I, it was a basic set. It was like getting, gosh, maybe if Nick or Joseph can remember what the heck I titled that one, the macaw. It was like a beginner's guide or like professional getting started with colored pencils on a budget. It was something about budget was in there. You can see, you can mix a lot of colors from it. Dan Gonzalez said, hey Lisa, how are you guys? The best white pencil I have are Prismacolor Scholar. Can that work? If you like the results you're getting, that's fine. I'm not a fan of Prismacolor Scholar, but they've never, even when I use Prismacolor, I just never liked the Scholar set. They're too hard, but if they work for you, go for it. I definitely, my two favorites are going to be Derwent Drawing Chinese White and Luminance White are my two favorite white colored pencils. Miriam said, Yupo isn't archival, right? Since it's plastic based. Sorry, I may have missed it. Another medium. Clean and disposal of oil paint. Clean up your process. You want to contact it's going to vary depending on where you are. You want to contact your local city when it comes to like the paint thinner and well, I know it's really all I'm disposing of. So contact your city and they will tell you where they want you to dispose of that. So it's going to, that's how you want to do that. But there's not really anything else I have to dispose of besides old paint thinner that has like oil mixed into it. Let's see. Do not dump it down your drain or throw it in the trash or anything like that. Contact your city. They'll tell you how to properly dispose of it or where they should have something set up for you. And as far as Yupo being archival, I don't know a whole lot about it, honestly. I've not done that much research. It says acid free. So there's that. I don't know how or if or it would break down. I mean, some plastics seem to do that really fast. Some don't. I would assume being that it's for art that it wouldn't, but it's made by Legion Paper. You can contact them. They're the same ones that make Stonehenge, I believe. So you can contact them and I should contact them and get information, I think I'm going to email on that. I'd like to know more about it now that you bring it up. I've never sold any of these, so I'm not super worried about it one way or another, but that is a good question. I should find out. If I'm using light fast markers and I'm all happy that they're light fast, I should find that out. Let's see. When I first started drawing with colored pencils, I did not use them until I found a colored pencil color picker because I thought I needed the exact color. Looking back, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I wouldn't say ridiculous. You made it harder for yourself for sure, but a lot of people think that. I mean, I thought that when I first started painting. I would see artists that did things that looked so beautiful and so realistic, and my head was, if I only knew what color to use. You get this, like, if I just had the right brush, like I need this magical paintbrush that they must have that I don't know about, and I just don't know what color to use. It doesn't have anything to do with it. It has to do with your values. Light's light enough, dark's dark enough, layer, mix, blend. That's, and there's when it came to painting, there was no magic brush either. It was learn how to use the brushes I had. I had the right brushes. I had the magic brushes. I just didn't know how to use them right. So, no, you're not unusual in having thought that. Kimberly said, has anyone here about the Draw Lucy projector? I saw it advertised on Facebook and YouTube. I've never used it, so I can't say anything one way or another. Jackie said, do you use the same cameras to record your tutorials as you do the live streams. No, the live stream cameras are terrible. I don't like them at all. The camera for my tutorials is a Canon something. Hold on, let me grab it. I can actually show it to you. So the intro of my videos are with the Canon, God, what is it, an M6? I forget what it is. It's like a creator thing with a Sigma lens, a Sigma 1.4 lens. I don't know. It's a beautiful camera, but the lens I love on that one. But that one is what I've been doing for the intros, and I think the last video I did write what set that I'm using on there. But the one that I'm recording my videos for, this is the Canon Vixia HF G20. I've had this for 5 years. I'm sure there's newer versions, maybe they're better, but this one, it's worked. It works really well for me. It's been a really good camera. Let me put this somewhere where I don't break it. But yeah, the intros, I use a different camera for most of the intros. I've used that for a while for some of the intros, but my more recent ones where it's like the super blurry background, that is done with the Canon M something. And I'm pretty sure the last video that I uploaded or was fully edited one with the Orchid, I think I wrote in there which camera that was or linked it. Jessica said, also, do you have a video or tutorial on how to mix colors or how to take full advantage of only using a few colors like you were just talking about? Yeah, the video where I did that was, I mean, you can see me mixing and layering and to get that, but it's not like specifically saying if you mix red with green, this is what happens. Like, it's not that like involved, but you can see how I'm layering them to get the different results. But the big thing is you're going to learn through trial and error. What happens if you put green on top of red? What happens if you put that red on top of the green instead? What happens if you use blue instead of green? You know, you want to experiment, and that's how you're going to learn the most. You're going to get a scratch piece of paper, and you're looking at your thing going, okay, I need kind of a reddish, like a rust color. How do I mix a rust color? And you're going to try that on your different color samples on your scratch paper to figure that out. You'll learn more from that than somebody telling you every time, because you're probably not going to remember if I tell you, use this and that. But if you experimented, you're probably going to learn better. Figure that out and experiment with those colors. Harley said, I want to sell my art, and in my Etsy shop, I already have 71 paintings, and I upload every day, but I still cannot get sales. I started to lose hope. Do I need to sell some very cheap? God, okay, so this is kind of a lot to tackle. Actually, do me a favor, link me. I mean, we're sitting here not doing anything anyway, or just chatting because this project was super fast. Link it to me or tell me what your name is on Etsy. I'll look it up and I'll see if I can give you any tips. But the fact that you said you have 71 paintings, you have too much. 10. Don't go more than, you don't need more than 10. If you can't sell, if there's 71, sometimes when it comes to sales, if you give people too many options, they won't choose any. Limit it some, and maybe your prices are a little bit high for if you don't have like a name built for yourself. It is possible that you are charging too much, but yeah, link it for me and I'll come back to it once I get through some of these questions, and I'll see if that can help. But I'm telling you right now, you've got 71 and you're uploading every day. That to me tells me you're paying up the rear. Like, that is insane how much that must be costing you to upload every day. That's one of the things I don't like with Etsy. If you upload every day to keep at the top of the list, but you're not selling any, what you're doing isn't working. Stop spending the money. Stop doing what you're doing. You need to reevaluate everything. Maybe it means dropping your prices. I don't know what your prices are. Maybe it means raising your prices. I have no idea. Maybe it means that you need to start marketing more on Facebook and Instagram, and you need to build a following for yourself. The thing with Etsy is I don't find it to be quite the same as like eBay was. With eBay, I could post, let's say, a dolphin painting, and people would find it. It would sell more likely there. When I posted it on Etsy, I had to send people, like, people weren't just finding it on Etsy the way their searches are. I wasn't a huge fan of trying to sell on Etsy. It didn't work. I stopped. I didn't do that for very long. It just wasn't beneficial to me. I felt like I was wasting my time and my money. Sorry, my band's coming undone. But you need to build a following outside of Etsy and send people there. You have to build a name for yourself, and you maybe haven't done that yet. Maybe that's all it is. 71 paintings is insane. And the fact that you've got 71 on there makes it, I've not looked at it yet. I do question the quality. Are you pushing out really rushed pieces just to have more on there, which maybe that's not going to be appealing to somebody? And again, I've not seen your work yet, so I don't know, but those are things to consider. Let's see. Where were we? AM said, I just finished your rose watercolor tutorial with a set of 12 Polychromos. What an amazing lesson in mixing colors with pencils. Thank you. I'm glad you liked it. Made by Dawn said, after starting my journey in art 2 years ago, I found my art style called cheap coloring book style, but recently unable to finish a piece, always doing touch-ups. Is that normal? If you're doing touch-ups too much and you don't think that it's actually like improving the work, you just keep messing with little things, one of the things that you can do is time yourself. So I often talk about spending more time to make your work better. But if you find that you're just adjusting things and not moving on, maybe you're doing that too much. Maybe it's time to limit. If you're getting the results you like, and let's say, your art style is your cheap coloring book style. If you like that, this is what's key. If you are happy with the results you're getting, and it doesn't matter if you're spending 8 hours or 12 hours, but it looks almost the same, like you're fussing over things that don't make a difference, then maybe time yourself and limit yourself so that you don't keep fussing over things. However, you use the term cheap coloring book style, which makes me wonder, is that a positive thing? I'm not sure. If you don't like the style, then maybe you need to spend even more time and work on more layering and blending techniques so that it doesn't look so much like a coloring book. And again, it's hard for me to say because I'm not sure it depends on what your goal is. If you like, and this is something that is a big deal in general, whatever style you like, when you ask somebody for advice, if you like the results you're getting, my advice doesn't mean a whole lot. Like, you're already getting the results that you want. So don't feel like you need to change if you're happy with the results you're getting. However, God, that didn't come out right at all. However, if you are not happy with the results you're getting, then you want to look at what you can do differently. And it may be your layering process. It may be the amount of time you're spending. Are you spending too much, too long? Usually, or too much or too long, same thing. It's too much or too little. Usually people spend too little time, and that's why they aren't happy with the work. So you've got to kind of figure out what you can do to make it so that you are happy with it. But like I said, it depends on if you like the results you're getting or not right now. What there would be for what is normal. I mean, constantly doing touch-ups. When you say touch-ups, I don't know exactly what touch-ups you're doing, if they're necessary or not without seeing it. Leah said, looking forward to the giraffe. I think you said for varnishing acrylics, Liquitex high gloss varnish. Yeah, that's what I use. I like a high gloss. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Violet Sky. She said, thank you for doing live streams. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. That is so sweet. Let's see. Leah said, okay, got that one. Tim said, just discovered your channel. What other mediums do you work in? Please, saw that cool zebra. Most mediums. The majority of mediums. I would take too long to say them all. Acrylics, watercolor, colored pencil, and watercolor is watercolor pencil, I should say. Colored pencil, oils. I've been doing some charcoal lately. I've got pigment marker. I've got graphite, pan pastels. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. There are a lot of mediums. Airbrush. Let's see. Violet Sky said, can you paint over a varnished acrylic painting and then varnish again? I have one I'm dying to make a few changes to. Don't. Once you varnished it, you're not supposed to put paint on top of that. Depending on how you varnished it, some varnishes, if you have an isolation layer, you can remove the varnish and then go back to it. I wouldn't even do that, though. I wouldn't. Too much can go wrong. No. Start a new painting. Leave it alone. Once it's varnished, that is it. It is done. It's a good way to make yourself not keep going back and making changes. Some people, if they'll keep fussing over things that don't really, you don't need to keep spending the time doing it. Varnishing is a way to make me go, okay, that is done. I'm not touching it again. Let's see. Compare Golden's Open to Liquitex Basic. Similar slow drying. Well, Liquitex Basic isn't slow drying, so I don't think those would be the best comparison. And that's one thing I do have some of the old, or I don't think it was Golden, so I've got an open acrylic I want to try. Sergi said, what about your colored pencil surface? Would you still experiment with some different hot press watercolor brands besides Arches that are less expensive and such? That's not a bad idea. I like that. That's actually a really good idea because there's no company that I've worked with that I'm like super biased towards. So I think I could make a really an honest opinion there. So I like that idea a lot. Jackie said, Legion Paper Online says Yupo is totally inert, therefore is completely archival. Well, there we go. Good. Thanks, Jackie, for looking that up. You saved me time. Daniela said, I prefer Liquitex over Golden just because of their tubing. Golden hard to open and bottom of tube exploded on me the other day. Oh no. How do you care for your brushes? Mine are always flaring. Okay, so that's actually, brush care is a good thing. Good. I've got a brush here. I've got a thing of water. I'll actually pull it back here. Let me make sure I'm in camera or in frame. So here's my tube of water, and you can use whatever you want. Something like I've got the, what is the other one that I have that I really like? The, oh, I made a video of it. I can't think of the name right now. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's like a rubbery type feel. There's another water well tip thing I like. But so this little one, this, don't ever, see how the brush is sitting in it? No, don't do this. This will fray those ends. So you can leave it in there for 30 seconds and you've started to fray those ends. Don't ever, ever leave your, don't do it. So when I clean my brushes, I rinse off the water and dry it off and lay it flat to dry. So it dries just on a paper towel or whatever on my TV trays that I use for everything. It just lays flat to dry. You don't want it to dry like this because water can run down into the glues and everything holding those bristles in. That could, in theory, loosen it up. I've never had it happen from that, but the theory is that it could. So let's just not do that. You don't want it to dry face down because same thing, you're damaging the ends of these bristles. So if your bristles are also still not getting cleaned well enough, I use a brush cleaner called the Old Masters. The Old Masters, I think is what it is. It's linked on my website, but the Old Masters, and it's like a soap. I really like that one. You just lather it up with, I usually use warm water. You don't want to go hot water because again, melting the glue, we don't want to do that, but I will lather it up with that. You can let it soak overnight. It conditions the bristles, or sometimes I'll rinse it out right away, but that will clean them out really well too. Let's see. Ken said, I'm seeing a Lachri fine art shop on Etsy. Is that really you or someone else using the name? As long as nothing's in the shop, it's me. It should be me if it's got my thing. I buy on Etsy. I don't sell on it anymore. I've not tried to in years, but it should be mine. Yeah, I don't love the Etsy platform. I bought, like, again, I found stuff that I liked on there, but and even that is hard because Etsy, the whole thing with Etsy is it was supposed to be all handmade stuff, but it ended up being mostly mass-produced crap out of China, not high-quality crap. And so, like, let's say I wanted a handmade beaded bracelet. Good luck finding something actually handmade versus the mass-produced crap. And Etsy was notified about this, and they didn't care. They were making money off of it, and even though it was technically a violation of their policies, they allowed it because they made the money off it. I don't have respect for that. So I don't love the Etsy platform myself. I do buy stuff from them, like my camera bags. I need to do a review over them because they're super girly and cute, and I love them because they're purses that I had made, and it was cheaper than if I bought an actual purse type camera bag I had from someone who handmade on Etsy. So I mean, you can find really good people on there, but yeah, I haven't tried selling on Etsy in years. Fem said, never mind, the Etsy store says you are taking a short break. So yeah, probably your old Etsy store. Yeah, it's still mine. I have not tried selling on there. I didn't even write that I was taking a short break. I just don't post. And so Etsy automatically is like, no, really, she'll be back. We promise. No, probably not. Maybe, probably not though. Let's see. Miriam said, love Golden's paint medium glass beads for effect with my seahorse. And of course, our favorite color, teal. I want to see that. That sounds cool. Sarah said, do you need to contact your city about disposing of OMS, even if the container is empty? If it's empty, it's dried out, it evaporates completely, you're fine. But if it's like with my paint thinner, my paint thinner that's in my container where I'm rinsing my oil painting brushes, I get this like goo, this jelly goo type thing of oil paint and paint thinner mixed together, and every so often, like every few years, I'll need to throw that out. You just need to contact your city and they will tell you where to take that. But like if the container is just dried out, it's empty, it evaporated, so you're fine there. Okay. We still have like 20 minutes if you guys have more questions, if you just want to chat. I made iced tea out of orange ginger. I wasn't sure I would like it. It's kind of growing on me. Let's see. Violet Sky said, I reported a company to Etsy that was obviously stealing an artist's image and they didn't even respond. I contacted the artist and she tried for years to get it taken down. Wow. So this is what I know Etsy's old thing was. There was a girl who made a thing. It was called Regretsy. It was a website where she would find things on Etsy that people made, like really badly made stuff. Like I will never forget the shoes with Edward Cullen from, the Twilight thing. His face badly painted on a shoe. It was hilarious. But anyway, I missed that Regretsy. I don't remember what happened with it. I don't remember if she got sued or whatever, but she had to take it down. That one went for a while. But anyway, it's kind of the concept of like the bad photos from Walmart. It was like that, but for Etsy. But one of the things, like wedding dresses were a big one. We knew they were mass produced. They were lying and saying that it was handmade. They had proof that it was not handmade. They had the proof for this. Etsy didn't care. Unless, in like Disney, people would copy Disney stuff all the time, or again, the Twilight stuff, unless the copyright owner contacted them and threatened legal action, Etsy wouldn't take it down, which is weird because like eBay was the opposite with eBay. Like I remember, this is how I found out about it on eBay the hard way. I would write just so that the tag word would be in there. Like I would do a painting. It wasn't a copy of Wyland by any at all, but I would do Wyland style or like Wyland. So if someone was looking for Wyland, they might see my work because I was doing marine life and then be like, oh, I like that artist. So even that ended up not being allowed. I had listings taken down on Etsy years ago because I was reported for using the term Wyland. You weren't even allowed to use the term Wyland, and I was only using it because my work was similar, so people knew it was that style. And I wrote Wyland style. I did not write that it was a Wyland paper painting. It was very clear in that. And even that was not allowed on eBay. Maybe the eBay, I think, went a little far on that, but still, I also respect that they were protecting the copyright owner. And again, in this case, I think they went too far, but they were still protecting people. So if somebody was selling something that wasn't theirs, that got taken. eBay back then, and this was years ago, 15 years ago. So I don't know if it's the same, but back then, eBay was really good about protecting creators or protecting copyright, whereas Etsy has always been like, unless we're threatened with legal, consequences, we might make money off this, so we're going to leave it. Like, I just do not respect Etsy. Nick said, it's Harley Howlett. Harley Harlett. Hold on, I'm going to copy this really quick, and I'm going to take a look at that Etsy store and see if I've got any advice. Hold on, we will copy that and come on. I need a new tab. Nope. Hit the right buttons. Yeah, I think you said you had 70-something paintings. That is too much. Okay, I'm only seeing... Okay, I only see that you've got, 4, 5, 6, 7. So maybe I read that wrong. Maybe it wasn't 71, it was 7. So one of the things that I will say, you're using a generic... and if you guys want to look this up, it's HarleyHowl art on Etsy. So you can see what I'm talking about. You did a cool thing. I like that you did the generic, like a background, and you put your art in it so people would, it does make it appear very nice, but it also, because it's the same image for each painting, it also feels almost like a mass-produced piece. Your technique, I don't think that you need to charge less on most of these. $5.57, no one's paying that much on Etsy. Good luck with that. That one is probably not going to sell online. That's something for that price you're probably going to have to sell in a gallery. Most of the time, stuff, unless you have really developed a name for yourself, you're probably not going to sell something at that price online. Again, unless people know who you are. And you're barely even moving. How are you making that sing to you? And I like that it almost looks staged the way that you've got these paintings on there. It's just that because you're using the same background image, the exact same background image that they're setting against, it may give the viewer the feel that this is probably just mass produced versus hand painted. And that's, I think, always the challenge too from as an artist and selling online, is making sure people understand you're not getting a print, you're not getting something that's mass produced. This is one of a kind. But in your case, I can see people wanting some, like, I really like your glass, the vases. Those are the ones that I'm mostly drawn to. And I think that I don't think that you're charging too much at all. You just have to build a name for yourself and have people know who you are. But again, I do question is it a good choice to have those bottom 3 with those glass jars? It looks nice the way you presented it, where you're using like a stock image where it's a painting sitting there. It looks nice, but it also gives the impression that it's mass produced and not hand painted. And I think one of the things that we used to do for a very long time as artists, we would do things like contact us at Lachri Fine Art. Contact us. Who? Me and Wade? What do you mean us? Contact me. I'm an artist. It is me. I am a person. I am not a big mass corporation. And in the early days of the internet, small businesses, for some reason, we were all trying to make everyone think we were some big, huge company. That is bad for like that's stupid. That is not what people are looking for. You want to, if somebody wants to buy an art piece from an individual artist, here's my airbrush, they want to know they're getting an original one of a kind piece made by that art. Like trying to make yourself feel like a big huge company that sells tons of prints. Like, look, I have this mass, like it's almost too, I'm trying to think of how to word this. Stage your artwork. It is good to stage your work. So I may put mine in an area where I've got them, in my case, because I do lessons, I may have the paintbrushes next to it. I may have the art supplies next to it. And that may work for you too. Stage an individual photo shoot, I think, per individual painting is a good way to go. The other thing, and I didn't look at this, how many images? So let's go, I like this one, the wine painting. We know I like wine. Let's look at those. Okay, good. You do have lots of images, but you're using stock image backgrounds again. I don't know that that's I mean, it's not working for you. And I think that's why I'm quick to say, oh, don't do it that way, because we know it's not working for you. So I would think, oh, I like that you showed the edge of the painting on the brick wall where you can see the corner. That looks nice. See, that one actually looks more natural. One of the things, I'll show you guys a trick that I did too that can sometimes get attention. So I like that you're posting lots of photos of the images. That is actually good. Your description's terrible. Your description is really not just, okay, so the description, I'm not sure how much room they're giving you, but you've got wine painting, original art. These are like tags. Is the description supposed to be tags? Original art, kitchen wall art, bar decor. I feel like I'm at Wayfair. I don't feel like I'm at an individual artist. And I want to feel like I'm an individual artist. This is an awesome painting. I love the painting. Like right now I'm looking at a different wine painting. Too many keywords. Simplify that. You don't need that many words in your title. It's not working for you. We know it's not working for you. So what can we change? Your title is really long. Wine painting, original art, kitchen wall art, bar decor, still life painting on canvas by how, simplify that. Wine bottle, what is it, an oil or acrylic, whatever, painting by Hallie. I simplify that. That's not really super searchable. So I don't think that's working for you. You do have a little bit more about the item where you said this wonderful painting makes a beautiful decoration for your wall art. I would almost, you're making it sound, so here's another thing with art, just like selling tip. You're making it sound almost like, and I need to take this advice for myself, I need to reword mine. You're making it sound like you're buying something from Wayfair or like an online, like a super mass-produced thing. I want to hear more about what you did to create this. Maybe it was your process. Maybe it was more about you as an artist. This does not read like I'm buying from an individual artist. I would never guess reading at this. I mean, you did put this is not a print or other type of copy, or looking at a unique handmade work of art. I would play up that more than the other. This isn't selling me. And the painting itself is. The paintings, I do think you've got great skill. I think, and for $99, what size is this? 11 by 9. I think it's worth it. You've got to figure out a better way. Now, here's another thing. That's 11 by 9. That's not huge. And because of the way that you've got this set, it looks bigger in that stock photo you put it on. That is probably more like a 16 by 20-ish size frame they give you. I wouldn't do that. I would start taking your own. I wouldn't do these stock photos. I don't think it's benefit. Well, we know it's not benefiting you. You're not getting the results you want. So there's a few things. Hopefully that will help you. I think you are very skilled. You've got to figure out how to market that. And I still think that you need to build your own social media following so that you can get people over there. But those are a few things that might help you. If I saw that photo on Etsy, I would never have guessed, unless I dug deeper, that this was an actual artist I'm buying from, not Wayfair or something mass produced. Because like I said, most of the stuff on, not most, but a lot of the stuff on Etsy is just mass produced stuff out of China now. So people know that. You've got to make sure they know very clearly it's you. Maybe it's a picture of you holding, one of the things I did recently is my painting with it. They're not in here now. The sea turtles, I took a photo of me holding them. That one, maybe because those sea turtles were one of my better paintings, I got more of a reaction out of that with me with the painting than I ever have on an individual, just here's the painting. Like, it was kind of crazy, the difference. Include a photo of you with the art, you posing with the art, setting up, that was the other thing I wanted to show you. Talking about props. One of the things that I did, hold on. You guys have seen these in my artwork or in my photos on Instagram or thumbnails. You see these all the time. I think it was on the thumbnail for something recently. So I did two things. I got two cheap palettes. I got a clear plastic one and I got a wood one. And I painted it. So it looks like it looks like it's all dusty. I need to clean it. But it looks like a palette that's currently in use. And so I can then take a couple paintbrushes, set them next to it. How cool does that look next to a painting? And it's something that I just reuse the same one. I don't have to get a new palette. I don't even use these kind of palettes, but it looks good in photos. This is how you want to stage your work. I would rather see you stage your work yourself than try to use the mask. And I get the draw to like, here's a picture of what my art would look like behind a couch. I don't find those to be that useful. You stage the work. This is the other one that I did where it's on a wood. I don't use this one as often. But again, this is just a cheapy wood palette and it works for staging photos. So instead of hanging it on the wall, I would make sure people knew like, hey, look, I painted this, set it up like that, maybe with some paintbrushes, laying flat, take some different photos. So it's clear this is something you created versus the illusion that I think you're getting. It almost looks too professional. And I know that sounds backwards. You want to make it look professional. You don't want to make it look like it's a mass-produced professional from a big corporation. You want it to look like it's from an individual artist. Now, don't take it so far as like I saw one person, God, I'm going to ramble about this forever, but I saw one person years ago submitted for a critique and they had like children's blocks next to their art and weird things or children's toys. I'm like, that's not how you stage a painting. That doesn't look good. But with stuff like that, with the paint tubes, with some paintbrushes, with like those palettes, I just reuse those same things over. I want to move those so I don't break them because I've been using them for years. But those work well for not creating the illusion, creating the realization that this is from an individual artist, not mass produced. So hopefully those tips will help you. And I'm glad it wasn't 71 paintings, but just 7. Let's see. Whoop, that jumped. I've been talking for a long time, so I missed a bunch of questions. Let's scroll up here. Daniela said, how often do you use the soap on your brushes? On my acrylics, like once a year. I'm lazy. On my oils, every single time. Like when I clean them at the end of a painting, I should say. When I'm done painting, I'll go through and soak and do it because my oils get damaged pretty quick. But acrylics, I'm lazy. I don't do them that often. It's recommended you do it every day or like every time you paint. I'm too lazy for that. Let's see. Made by Dawn said, I am working on composition. I'm using rule of thirds. Any other tips? Yes, my cheap coloring book style is evolving to a more stylized 3D. Nice. Rule of thirds. I can't think of anything as far as composition, just throwing that out. You've got rule of thirds down, and that would be like my basic to kind of work on your composition. My brain, I think, is still over here thinking about Etsy. I can't think of anything off the top of my head as just a tip other than if you're using rule of thirds, that's really useful. Trying to think for composition, tips on composition. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Well, if it pops in my head during some of these other questions, it's such a generalized question. I can't really think of anything because you've got the rule of thirds, so that would be my main thing. Ben said, I'm greedy. I want more pigment marker paintings. Oh my gosh. We need to do them because these are fun. And apparently if I'm going to do something this small and simple, I need to plan on too. Would you ever do a more in-depth piece with these? Like your gorgeous surreal work, photorealistic wildlife paintings? Absolutely. And I've done them on full videos on YouTube, but it's been years. Definitely need to. And every time I use them, I'm like, why don't I use these more? They're so fun. So yes, I will. Emily said, what are your thoughts on scrapper boards? I don't know really much about them. I'm guessing that's like scratch boards. I've never really gotten into them, so I don't know a whole lot about it. I can't really say much one way or another. Let's see. Miriam said, you will know Wade is responding and answering if you hear the happy birthday tone. Yeah. He's passed out over there now. George said, I like your social media, Etsy, eBay, and website tips. I'm researching websites, but don't want to make one until I have at least 6 to 7 artworks available to buy. That's a good goal. I think it's a reasonable goal. Let's see. Oop, that jumped. Where were we? Harley said, thank you very much. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you brought this up with Etsy because you're a good example. And I was so glad when I looked at your work and I'm like, okay, she's good. That would have been awkward if it was like, oh yeah, you just need to practice some more. But so I was really grateful your work was as good as it is. But yeah, that was a great topic. We could do a whole video off that. I think that would be, maybe we need to do, we've done where I've critiqued websites, but maybe we need to do a critique video where we talk about how people are trying to sell and maybe look at why maybe they're not getting the sales they want. That might be that was a really fun little segment to go over. Thank you so much for letting us look at your work and be all judgy. That was fun. Let's see. We've got 6 minutes, so not much time. My stomach is growling. I'm ready for lunch. Let's see. I'm pretty sure we're all caught up here. I'm trying to think of any. So, going back to selling tips. So, and again, talking about staging things, you'll look at I'm doing it more and more. I'm trying to think, what do I have on Instagram? You can find my Instagram. It's Lisa_Lachri. It's in the description. But let's go. I'm going to look at my own because, I'm not narcissistic or anything. But look at how often, go to my Instagram. The video I used to promote the live stream for the acrylic painting live stream for Wednesday, that's that palette. The little plastic one I just showed you, that's that palette. And look at how pretty it is with the paintbrushes on it. But that's a recent one on Instagram. Look at how many of these where I'm posting. There was the cat. I used for my thumbnail of the cat with the colored pencils sitting next to it. Something that lets you know, like, hey, this is, like, you want to be professional? Not too professional. Not too, like I was saying before, I used to do, I had my voicemail for my phone back before cell phones was like, thank you for calling. Back then I called it Water of Life Studio instead of Lachri Fine Art. Like I rebranded that in a much better way. But because I only did marine life, so I was like water in life and studio, and I thought it was clever. Was not that clever, but I would do, thank you for calling Wildlife or Water of Life Studio. We're not available right now. Who is this we? It sounded ridiculous, but everyone did it back then. We want to play up the fact that we're an individual. So like on, let's say your Facebook post, your Instagram, talk to people like they're humans, not like you're a big corporate person. Like, it doesn't work. You want to reach out on that individual level that's going to get you those sales more than trying to pretend you're a bigger company. Let's see. Daniela said, these are great selling tips. Thank you. Laura said, see, that's yet another reason I enjoy your lessons, whether I use the medium or not. Lessons can be applied to all of them, and you tell us marketing stuff. Thank you. I'm glad you like them. That's kind of like has always been my goal with my YouTube channel. I wanted to help other artists because when I first started with art, I did the starving artist thing for a very long time, and I couldn't, how do you sell? I didn't know, and there was no internet when I started. I'm very old. So I was like, I didn't know, I knew I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't know where to go from that. So I hope to share some of what I've learned along the way with you guys so you don't get stuck in the starving artist stage as long as I did. Let's see. Fem said, I hope the diet isn't leaving you too hungry. No, every time I get hungry, I go eat. I just eat reasonable amounts and not the amount of food I was consuming was kind of insane. When I look at what someone my size should be eating and what I was actually consuming a day, it was like, wow, okay. So let's not make eating or snacking your hobby anymore. We need a new hobby. But no, it is about lunchtime for me. I normally eat about an hour earlier. So that is all that is. It's weird. The new diet, the lower calorie thing, I'm almost never, and if I'm hungry, I eat. I'm not struggling with being hungry. Because I'm choosing wisely on things that will fill me and things that are nutritious. So yeah, it's just that it's lunchtime. Violet Sky said, I love when artists stage the piece with their supplies, especially tubes of paint. I don't know why, but it really adds to it. I think so too. I really enjoy seeing that. And there's one artist that I know that I follow on Instagram, and she'll stage hers with crystals are kind of around the piece, really pretty. It's not even just always art supplies. Sometimes it's a plant leaf. You can get creative on that, make it pretty. I mean, the children's toy thing that the one person did was weird and didn't work. But, normal in-home items, although I guess children's toys could be in-home items for some people, but it's make it pretty. And I think sometimes it can draw so much, especially if it's kind of a simple piece or a smaller piece, you can make it look more interesting by staging it around it. This is what realtors do when they need to sell a house. make it prettier by putting the pretty furniture in there and things that help people visualize what it would be like if they were in there. And you kind of want to do the same thing with your artwork. Let people visualize what it would be like if that was in their hands, in their home, in, you know, with their stuff. So let's see. Harley said, oh, I see, thank you. Phil said, I am again late for the live stream, but I see I have to replay this one. Full of tips, thank you. Let's see. Yeah, I'm still trying to think like composition tips. Yeah, the golden rule, you have stuff like that, but that gets a little bit more complicated for some if you're beginning. The rule of thirds, I think, is the simplest thing for understanding composition. The other thing, watch when your composition, creating depth in your piece is a big deal. And I know that's depth versus composition, but they kind of go together. Making things in the distance look like they're in the distance and not like they're just as detailed as those that are up front. And especially like with colored pencils, that's really, I see that a lot where somebody's like, it's a tiny pencil. I can put like something that's supposed to be a mile away. I'm going to put as much detail in those leaves as I did on the leaves up front. Blur it out, let it be a little bit softer in the distance. Try, you know, your composition isn't just about where you place something. So let's say you're going to follow the rule of thirds. You've decided to go that route. It's not just the placement of it. What else around it is still drawing attention to your subject? You want to be careful with that. And maybe it will be the colors. Like if you have too many bright colors over here, but your subject is supposed to be here, but my eye keeps drawing up here, your composition's bad. You've got to rework that and make sure you understand, where do you want the viewer's attention to be? Is it going to go to that area, or did I add other elements that are drawing away from that to areas I don't necessarily like? That shouldn't be the focus. So that's something to keep in mind when it comes to composition. So, okay, we are at 3 o'clock. My stomach is growling. I'm really looking forward to eating. So I'm going to go. Thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you to Nick and Joseph, our moderators. Make sure to check out their channels. They have art channels here on YouTube. They're in the video description. They are awesome. They help so much. And thank you guys for being here with me today. Next week will probably be, what did I say next week? Did I say watercolor, or did I say, I don't know, some kind of pencil? Colored pencil? I don't know. I don't remember now. And then, of course, we'll be painting a hummingbird live on Wednesday night. So make sure to check us out. Or check us out. See, look, I'm doing the thing that everyone does. Check us out like I'm a big company. Check out that video on Wednesday. I will see you guys, well, Wednesday. Bye.